Goaltending, like I said, was a story in this game. I thought Campbell played well. I thought Jake Allen played really well. Where's this going, Bruno? Like, I mean, we can look at it from the side of the Canadiens with Jake Allen or the side of Campbell with the Leafs, because it's kind of similar situations. We have two teams who have goalies who make a lot more money than the goalies they're currently starting. And there's questions as to whether those goalies who make more money will be coming back. So what are our expectations on what goalies we're going to see in the playoffs, and assuming these two teams play in the playoffs? And is there any way back from it now? Like, is this even a discussion at this point?
Yeah, the Montreal Canadiens are in a really interesting spot right now because obviously you have Carey Price, and we can talk for days about how great he is and all the amazing playoff moments. And yeah, I know he hasn't won a Stanley Cup, but even go back to last season where he had a pretty bad regular season for the most part and then was phenomenal in the qualifying round against Pittsburgh and played well against Philadelphia. But now we have a situation where Price had another, let's call it another bad season by his standards. He hasn't played since April 19th out with his concussion. The Habs have 2 games left on the schedule. And, it looks like he's probably going to get into a game next week, over these last 2 games on the Habs schedule. But, man, it's like, I don't know what they're going to do right now because Jake Allen, listen, he's not having a great season, but statistically, he's having a better season than Carey Price. And he's the guy who's been playing consistently.
Yeah, there's enough of a sample size. He's not just a backup.
Yeah, there's enough of a sample size. We obviously know his track record in St. Louis. Like he's a good goalie. He's a really solid goalie. And I think now you're moving into the playoffs. Like, do you just, without Carey Price getting one more game, do you just start him game 1 if he's ready? Like, that's a tough spot, man. If he's not going to get any time to rev back up and get comfortable, they're in a really tough spot here. And it's, the Leafs, you could say before, Jack Campbell, he had his massive, incredible start where he was like 9-0-1 or whatever. Or sorry, it wasn't a 10 straight wins for Jack Campbell. And then obviously he cooled off and, we all thought, it's going to be Freddie's net to get in the playoffs. But now Jack Campbell kind of, turning things around and having an incredible season when you just look at the big picture. But for the Habs, they're in a tough spot here, man, because it's not like Jake Allen's like playing out of his mind. So I honestly, Lepore, I could actually see them turning to Carey Price game 1 without even playing a single game.
Really?
I really can, just because it's Carey Price.
Wow. Is that well, this is my question to that. Is that what you think should happen or what you think will happen?
I don't think it should happen. I don't, because I'd be concerned like this, if this dude hasn't played in a game and you're dropping him into a first round series against one of the best offensive teams in the NHL
on the road
against the Leafs, with Austin Matthews coming in, having one of the greatest goal scoring seasons, essentially we've ever seen, adjusted for era. And man, you got to drop Price into a situation like that. That's asking a lot. So I think they probably should go with Jake Allen, but knowing Montreal and how that fan base feels about Carey Price and how Bergevin and the coaching staff probably feels about Carey Price, and the locker room, how they feel about Carey Price when he's in the net. Honestly, man, I think if he's good to go game 1, even though we haven't seen him since April 19th, I think they say, screw it, Carey, it's your net.
He's the guy.
And take us to the promised land, buddy.
Okay, so then you think I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of the coaching staff in Bergevin. What's a worse look? Putting Price in the net and they lose terribly, or keeping him out of the net and they lose terribly?
And that's the thing, right? You keep him out of the net and you get pumped in like 4 or 5 games. I mean, Habs.
I guess it can't really happen, because if they're getting pumped, the other one's probably gonna go in.
Yeah,
anyway,
and that's you know
what I'm getting at. You know what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah, but
what's a worse look? Like,
yeah, no, I think it's definitely a worse look if you lose, a short series and Price is just sitting on the bench. Yeah. I think that's a terrible look. And especially, I'm just thinking about that fan base, Lepore.
Yeah.
And listen, I know coaches and management, they say, we don't think about the fans and we're here just trying to make the best decision possible for our hockey club and blah, blah, blah. But can you imagine Montreal and that fan base if Carey Price does not factor into this playoff series?
Imagine the takes. Should Carey Price leave Montreal? Should he demand a
Oh,
trade?
dude,
Has Bergevin lost confidence in Carey Price?
it would be absolutely insane. Like, what would you do if you're the Habs, Lepore?
If I this how okay, this is how I would as it stands now. It's funny because I think you can use a logical answer with both sides because from the answer of hockey, pure hockey, I would go with Allen simply because, well, Price hasn't played and Allen's been good enough. Like, just to put anybody in any situation like that is bad. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Carey Price or Patrick Waugh. Like, you haven't played. But from a business side, and you could justify this end too, the guy makes over $10 million. So if there's anyone you can do it to, you could say, well, we didn't give this guy 10 million. We gave this guy $10 million because he is going to be our goalie no matter what. So I guess I'd leave it up to him. Carey, are you ready? Okay, you're going in. Like, I know it sounds a little off, but we pay you what we pay you. Like, you got it if you want it. I mean, we're not paying, like, it's almost like the money's making the decision for you. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. I just mean, well, this is why you did it. Right? Like, it's I don't know, man. Like, I'd see it similar to like a quarterback getting injured. If you're paying a quarterback $40 million and he's ready to go coming off an injury, well, I don't think you can really flip out if that quarterback doesn't play well. It's at the end of the day, you're paying him $30-40 million to play well in that moment. You can't have him sitting on the bench. But I don't know.
Like, I think it would be a different story if Jake Allen was like putting up Jack Campbell numbers right now. Like, if he had like a
that would be fun. Like that would be fun.
Oh, that would be so much fun because the takes would just be flying left, right, and center. It would get real spicy, man. Because
or if they win, that'd be even not fun for us. But if Montreal went on a run with Jake Allen, that'd be a fun summer for Montreal. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like their numbers are still close enough that you can justify just turning back to Price. And I'm just thinking about that locker room, like game 1 of the playoffs. They have not been playing well over the last 20 games. And I'm sure I don't need to tell Habs fans that, like, this team has not been able to score consistently. It's been a mess. Honestly, it really has the last 20 games. But you get Carey Price back for game 1 of the playoffs. And I just think mentally for that team, they're like, that's gonna be a nice jolt for them, I think.
Yeah.
Heading into that.
At the end of the day, it's like they're gonna be, and I mean, the Habs fans know this, they're gonna be an underdog. So it's like, well, if we're going to crash and burn, if we crash and burn with the guy who's supposed to be our starting goalie and makes what he makes, well, we're crashing and burning this way, right? So, and then even too, we talked about weirdness. Like, some weirdness will have to happen for Montreal to beat Toronto in a playoff series, like over 7 games. For Montreal to beat Toronto 4 times, that could trigger some weirdness. Carey Price starting for the first time in a while and playing the best he's played in a long while. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be takes either way, and it's going to be fun. And hopefully whatever decision they make is the wrong decision, or at least the media spins it that way. So, yeah, it'll be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what the Habs do, obviously, what the Leafs do, and how they adjust their lineup with the injuries that they have going on. So we can't wait. We cannot wait for game 1 of the playoffs.